What's going on, you guys? Jay here, and welcome back to the channel. We've got some really good positive news to go through, and we're going to be breaking it down during this video. We're definitely going to need to be careful of what's coming in the future. As I've mentioned a few times, regulations, they're coming thick and they're coming fast. Ultimately, it's going to have an overall positive effect on crypto, but there's going to be a bit of band-aid ripping off throughout the process. I think Donald Trump actually explained this best. We've got a patient, we've operated, and now we're looking for our patient to begin recovering. So if you haven't seen the news by now, you might be hearing it first. If you're part of our community here on HCC, there is a 90-day pause on tariffs. So Donald Trump, the real Donald Trump, has tweeted, based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets, I'm hereby raising the tariff charge to China by the United States of America to 125% effective immediately. At some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize that the days of ripping off the USA and other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable. Conversely, and based on the fact that more than 75 countries have called representatives of the United States, including the Departments of Commerce, Treasury, and the USTR, to negotiate a solution to the subjects being discussed relative to trade barriers, tariffs, currency manipulation, and non monetary tariffs, and that these countries have not, at my suggestion, retaliated in any way, shape, or form against the United States. I've authorized a 90-day pause and a substantially lower reciprocal tariff during this period of 10%, and it's also effective immediately. And we're seeing a very strong response in the overall market right now, with BTC ripping up all the way to that 82k range. We're going to see how this one pans out, because effectively these tariffs are on absolutely everything and everyone. This pause has come in, which is on everything and everyone except China. So again, are we going to see some kind of backing down from China as a dominant player in the trade sector? And I really do think this is uncertain, and there's many different reasons for this at the moment. And Van Eck really did put out a very interesting article, if you will, with the impact on the de-dollarization as things move towards Bitcoin's monetary role. The Trump administration's April 2 tariff package targeting imports from China and the EU has reignited global trade tensions and increased the risk of monetary and geopolitical fragmentation. Bitcoin initially dipped from 85k to 81k range after the announcement and sold off further over the weekend, but has still outperformed the Nasdaq across every major time frame: 1 week, 1 month, YTD, over the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 10 years. While slower growth alone isn't bullish for Bitcoin, the policy response might be. If tariffs weigh on GDP without triggering a fresh inflation spike, the Feds may have to scope out the cut rates, reintroducing the liquidity concerns under which Bitcoin has historically excelled. At the same time, the weaponization of trade and financial infrastructure continues to drive interest in neutral settlement rails, and that interest is no longer theoretical, according to Matthew Siegel, and he's stating that China and Russia have reportedly begun settling some energy transactions in Bitcoin and other digital assets. And this isn't new to us here on the channel. We've been reporting on this for some time, and I think we did a video explaining that they were possibly going to be circumventing tariffs using crypto during the Ukraine conflict. So again, this isn't new. It feels to me like they're simply catching up with what is the norm. And they're stating the French energy utility EDF is exploring whether it can mine Bitcoin with surplus electricity currently exported to Germany. And these are early signs that Bitcoin is evolving from a speculative asset into a functional monetary tool, particularly in economies looking to bypass the dollar and reduce exposure to the US-led financial systems. And I really do think this is a very, very interesting article, if you will. And there is a little bit more to it, and it really does make me start to think more deeper into the role Bitcoin would play if we did see a further escalation of geopolitical tensions, so to speak. Because essentially, if we go all the way back, right, to like World War One, World War Two, everything is transacted in gold, and the gold needs to get from A to B. Well, the majority of, transits were heavily attacked. They're heavily bombarded. They are sometimes lost, sometimes stolen, and that's with gold. There's a lot of expenses that comes with transporting gold. Am I saying we're going towards World War III? Absolutely not. But I'm thinking into the future and really thinking about what Matthew Siegel said, because yeah, it is going to become a functional monetary tool in today's environment, and effectively in the future, it could be used, right, to settle gold-based transactions, because you don't have to pay for the transport, you don't have to pay for the security, you don't have to run the risk of losing your gold during transit. And hey, if we do go into World War III and there is, more geopolitical tensions, people are probably going to transact in something like Bitcoin instead of transacting in something like gold. And this then starts to drive us towards a store of value. Hey, we could see articles and letters going out saying you must not have more than 3 Bitcoin, and you must hand over everything. And this is similar to what happened to gold during World War II with the Gold Confiscation Act in the United States. And we've gone over this heavily, but look, I'm getting on a little bit of a side tangent there, really diving into the deeper sides of how crypto is going to become a monetary tool. If we just flick over to the total crypto market cap, it's looking absolutely fabulous, seeing a 8.69% gain and seeing BTC and Ethereum pushing up on that. I see some of the dumbest articles at the moment, and it's two coins that ChatGPT is stating will lead the next uptrend, and it's BTC and Ethereum. Well, duh. But yeah, sometimes I really think it's written by camels. But this is good, and it's short-term relief. I really do think it's short-term relief. I think there's going to be more pain in the future, but there is gain to be had during this time. And if we can start to lift this thing off the ground, right? Lift this thing out of this horrible downtrend that we've been in, well, yeah, we could start to go up. BTC has held extraordinary well, considering last year we were looking at levels that were nowhere near close to this. We need to remember what we've got during this time. And what I'm starting to see is a lot of people, right, that are getting scared and they are panic selling. And I find this peculiar because if we go to a chart like Lunar Classic, a lot of us here, we're invested in Lunar Classic, so we're going to use this chart. Bear with us. We've been down in this zone a few times. This isn't new to us here, and it's not new to many different cryptocurrencies out there. What we're seeing is a lot of negative news being pushed and people doom scrolling on X and believing in all of these kind of like weird accounts that are horribly producing what is like blotted news of just one-liners, very misogynistic, if you will. The bite and crunch of this situation for a lot of people is we've not seen anything new. We've been down in this zone. This is just a normal area, and we can come out of it just as quick as we have many times before. And if I flick through, many coins, Shiba Inu going down to an area it's been in many times before. This isn't new to people like Doge. It's an area we've tracked through a few times, and it's the same across board. These coins like XRP that have moved up, yeah, it's a little bit more painful, but again, the market's holding extraordinarily well considering the time we are in, considering what's happening around us. And yeah, we've had a lot of positive news, and eventually that is going to catch up with the market. Now, a scenario that we could be walking into is a consistent pause of these tariffs. If there's going to be a 90-day pause on tariffs, well, that's around 3 months. That's a significant amount of time for the market to recover, recoup, new investors to come in, people make money, it go up, it go down, new trends, new meme coins, everything. If you've been building heavily during this downtrend, you're going to put yourself in the right position because you were there when things got rough, when things got tough, and you're still there now. And like I said, to all of the people on LUNC that may be thinking about liquidating positions and stuff like that, from my perspective, I'm loading up. I'm loading up with more XRP. I'm loading up with more LUNC. I'm staking it where and whenever I can. And I'm looking for that stability in crypto, which is normally yield returns on staking. I think this is going to be a very, very interesting Thursday and Friday as we see the reaction in the market. It could be absolutely huge. And by gosh, you want to make sure that you've been there buying the dips. It's good to touch grass, as I said. It's good to go away. It's good to take time, but you must remain convicted to the idea that you are going to become financially free. But let me know what you guys have been doing during this downturn. I've been playing Command and Conquer, the remastered version, so really going back to the 90s and just trying to keep you guys up to date. We've got more comments, we've got more videos coming out later today, so keep an eye on them. I hope you're as ecstatic as I am. This is really good for the LUNC ecosystem, and if you've not seen LUNC Pump.fun, aka Project Remedy, go and check that out, you guys. And if you're not part of the LUNC ecosystem, there's a new meme sector booming. We've got the tools, we've got the UI, the UX, we've got absolutely everything you need to take some LUNC and turn it into your next 1000x bag. Guys, stay safe, stay humble, stay aware. I'm going to catch you in the next one.